What's up guys, and how you doing? Welcome to another video. In this one I have some exciting new product news for you and some testing going on. Stay tuned, enjoy the video. As you guys know, not too long ago, about a year ago, we had an issue with the buddy's Bronco on the trail. If you remember that video, we were going down the trail hitting some rocks and he punctured his transmission pan. You can check out that video right here or wherever it goes. Click on that link, check out that video, and then come back to this one. It's pretty interesting how he punctured his transmission pan. And we discovered Broncos don't come with transmission pans from the factory. Even if you have all the package, all the armor stuff, it doesn't come with it. So what did I do? I threw on a cheap Amazon deal, skid plate, because that's all it was out there at the time, and it did the job for a while. It's made out of aluminum, it's pretty thin, and I smashed it up and bent it up pretty quickly on the Rubicon. So that's been off my Bronco now, and well, Talons Garage sent me a skid pan to put on to cover my transmission. This thing is made out of steel, it's thicker, and it's got welded on ribbing to prevent it from buckling and bending when you smack it on the rocks. It put the whole weight of the Bronco on it. So I'm hoping this is going to hold up way better than my old cheap Amazon skid pan, and I'm not going to be puncturing my transmission on the trail. Now, Talons Garage was nice enough to send this out to me, not necessarily for a review, but to test fit it for them, because it goes on the 2.3 engine 4-cylinder Bronco with the automatic transmission, or on the stick shift as well. But they sent it out for me to test fit and to try out. So here's my thoughts and opinions, guys, and I'll let you know how it goes, and let's put it on. Real quick, guys, I'll show you the old transmission pan. As you can see, the whole thing is bent. Right here, it's buckled up like that. So it took some abuse. It was actually a pain getting it out because the whole thing pushed up into my frame and gouged it pretty good, both sides, specifically down there. Gouged it pretty good. And it also doesn't have any of that ribbing. It's just aluminum, so that didn't last very long. And it's got 2 mounting points in the back, 2 mounting points in the front, or 2 bolts I should say, front and back, and that's it. The welding isn't that great. There's some space. So anyway, that's that transmission pan. Let's move on to the Talons Garage one. Okay, right here we have the Talons Garage, and right off the bat you're gonna notice a couple things. You got a cool eagle there, you know, America, and then you got 3 spots for bolt holes there, and 1, 2, 3 spots for bolt holes there. So you got 2 additional mounting points. Now if you come here, not only is it steel, but they also offer an aluminum. Because I go in the rocks quite a bit, I opted for the steel one. It's a little bit stronger, add peace of mind, right? You got these nice 45-degree bends right here. There's no welding, guys, on the actual piece itself. It's just one piece that's bent versus the other one, which is welded. And it's got nice cutouts for your sway bar. You're also going to have this ribbing right here to prevent it from buckling, like you saw it happen to my other cheap aluminum one, guys. So that's pretty nice that they added that there. It should help prevent a lot of that bending. Now let's go ahead and put it on. One thing to note though, guys, real quick before we put it on, it's steel, right? So it's pretty darn heavy compared to the old one that I pulled off, which is aluminum. Now they do offer aluminum and steel, like I said, and I have the steel. It's pretty heavy. So you might want to enlist a buddy to help you lift it up, or use a jack, or maybe you're just muscle man. I don't know, or muscle girl. Gotta be inclusive. So whatever it is, make sure you do it smartly. Don't hurt your back. Don't end up like me with a crippled lower back. Now the first thing that you want to do is crawl into your Bronco. I have this Amazon, well, actually not Amazon, Harbor Freight Creeper. Really nice. I also have a lifted Bronco, so I can just crawl under like so, and I'm okay for the most part. Let's get to it. Okay, so here we have the transmission pan, and this is what we're going to be protecting. As you can see from the factory, no armor goes right here. It's completely exposed, and believe it or not, rocks do and will come up and puncture this, and this is plastic, guys. You puncture this, I can guarantee you it's going to cost you at least 117 bucks just for the plastic pan. I know because I've replaced one. And all these bolts, there's 13 of them, they're a pain to get to. They take a while to replace, and you got a ton of fluid you got to put in there, and that fluid is not cheap. So this pan is going to be well worth the investment in protecting that transmission. If you have any sort of skid pan up front for the front diff, you're going to want to go ahead and loosen these bolts holding it in place, these 2 bolts. Just go ahead and loosen those. And then if you have a transmission pan skid, whatever you call it, you're going to want to loosen those two bolts as well as one of the bolts on the frame here. And just go ahead and slide this sucker out of the way like so you can access this whole cross member. So in your box, you're going to get this bag, and this bag is going to have a lot of these bolts. These are the bolts you're going to be using. It's going to use an Allen head key right there. Then you're also going to have these spacers. Now, use as many as you need, but you're going to be using these spacers for the front and maybe the back too, just depending on your setup, to kind of space out the skid plate. I'll show you what I mean. So if you look right here, you see the bolt hole right there. There's kind of a space in between there, a little chasm if you will. You're going to take this washer or spacer, whatever you want to call it, and you're going to put it there. And I think I'm going to have to add 2, but we'll put 2 up there, and that'll give me the space I need to bring the skid plate flush and even with this front one. Alrighty, so after you've gone ahead and lowered that front diff skid, you're going to slide in your piece. You're going to use a jack to support it in the middle, right? Be safe. And you're going to go ahead and you're going to put your spacers, slide those things in here, right here, and hold them in place with these bolts. Now you might need 2 spacers on each hole, so keep that in mind. They give you plenty of spacers to kind of mix and match what's going to work for you in your assignment, kind of what you have going on here. Now, if you have an aftermarket front diff skid, it may or may not quite perfectly fit here on the corners. It's not that big of a deal. You can just let it overlap, or you can just cut this end, this corner off with the grinder. I have the Icon front diff skid, but it'll fit perfectly with your Ford factory front diff skid, and of course their very own Talons Garage front diff skid as well. So not a big deal. It will fit different applications just fine. Alright guys, I ended up taking this front diff skid off just to make it easier to access. I ended up having to put 2 pucks on each bolt on the front of the transfer case skid plate, and that's gonna make it clear this lip right here on this cross member. Works pretty well. Just take that front diff skid off. Just do it, guys. It's gonna save you a bunch of headache. So there we go. It looks great. Leave them loosey-goosey. Don't put them ooga-doogas yet, because we got to go do the back. Alright guys, now as we can see, we have 3 bolts. 1, 2, 3. 3 bolt holes. And you're going to put your bolts through here, obviously, duh, into the frame, duh, where you got all your stuff for sliding those bolts into that Ford kindly provided you. Now if you're like me, my nutserts from Ford broke, so I had to replace those. They broke a long time ago on the trail, way before I did this install. Because of that, I am going to be using different bolts, because it's a different thread pattern on the nutserts I put into the frame. So you'll see different bolts that I use for this portion, but Talons Garage sends you nice bolts that you can use that'll go right into the Ford locations, no problem. Don't worry about it, yours will fit just fine. Now you also notice right here that this hole lines up with the hole in the frame where there's no nutsert. So whatever do we do? Well, Talons Garage thought of that, and they provide you with a nutsert. Wow, imagine that. And you're gonna clip that bad boy into that channel, bingo, right into there in place, and call it a day. It's gonna go, let me see if I can get that angle right there. It's gonna go right there. It's gonna go right into place. So let me do that real quick. I can't hold the camera and do it at the same time, but you're just gonna slide that sucker right in, maybe give it a little love tap or 2. Alright guys, we are done at the install, and it looks fantastic. It has way more coverage than the previous plate, way more strength. It just looks kind of better too. I mean, the eagle's kind of cool, but yeah, I'm excited to see how it lasts. I have no doubts that this is going to hold up well. We're going to go on the Rubicon and we're going to test it. I did strip a bolt in my other diff skid plate. This is not from the same company, it's a different company. Here's a different kind of bolt, and that's stripped out from a rock, so I had to tap and drill that out. So nothing related to the install I just did, so ignore that hole right there. Yeah, I also bent this part on a rock. Totally different skid plate, different company. Don't worry about it. This fit and finish right here though is really nice. I'm really happy with that. Overall, very impressed with this skid plate, guys. Truly am. But hey, not only does it have to look good, it has to perform well. So let's go see how it does on the trail.